Hi, gang. This is our professional introduction mini lecture. Some instructions and example to help you with this week's assignment. Professional introductions are a specialized kind of welcome that we give to visiting lecturers, visiting experts, visiting dignitaries when they are speaking in front of a group. We are asked a lot to do this at a church, at a Rotary meeting, at a classroom. Anytime you're part of a group who's inviting somebody in, you have an opportunity to give a really gracious start, to be a gracious startup act for your invited speaker by giving a clear and useful professional introduction. They are rare, I should say. I was a training consultant for about 10 years before I came back to HCC to teach. And I went to universities and I went to medical centers and I went to military bases working with all kinds of doctors to help them teach, train, write, and speak better. So I have been introduced around this country literally hundreds of times. And I have to say, of all those years and of all those introductions, I can think of maybe one time this really classy lady down in Georgia who took the time and gave the attention to give me a proper introduction, a startup act that really got the audience primed for my presentation. It really makes the speaker's job easier. So it's a wonderful skill to know about, and it's even a better skill to be able to do. A professional introduction has 5 parts. It has a greeting, a purpose and interest, a brief summary of credentials, and a welcome statement. In the greeting, we want something very clear to say, hey, thank you, audience, for joining us. Audiences love to be acknowledged, they love to be recognized, and they love to be thanked. Number 2, we have a purpose statement. This is what people leave out most of the time, where the audience wants to be reminded of why we have assembled. So it's a really good, really helpful focusing statement to say, the purpose of our event is blah, 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 blah. As you know, we're all here gathered for this great work, to learn more, to get excited. There's lots of different purposes, but it's helpful for the audience to be reminded of it. The interest statement is a brief statement of how come the speaker cares. Of all the women, of all the men around, why has this group, why have the leaders invited this dude to speak? Audiences want to know that the speaker has an interest in who they are, what they're learning, what they need. So having a nice, clear interest statement, she's interested in our work because blah, 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 is a great way of, again, of comforting the audience, of getting them ready, of getting them eager and curious about who this great person is going to speak before us. Next, and this is what everybody knows, some credentials. Audiences want to know, how come this guy is authorized to speak? What does he know? What are his experiences? Where's his knowledge base? I think the biggest mistake in introductions is too many credentials. Audiences mostly trust that you've picked a speaker for good reasons. We want to know 2 or 3 of the top, most relevant, most salient, most important credentials for that person. When you're younger, credentials include all kinds of things. It's not just degrees, it's not just job titles, but it's also where you've lived, what you've experienced, what you've gone through, who you are, the people that you represent. These are all kinds of experiences that can qualify you to speak in front of an audience and count as credentials. Last but not least, after the credentials is this very brief welcome statement. We've done the work of introducing, so now it's time to give the title of the speech and the name of the speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our speaker today, Raul McGillicuddy, and his speech, Eating Better Burritos Fast. Yay! So that very clear statement means that you, as the introducer, have to be really careful that you can pronounce accurately the name. You're going to want to practice that out loud to get it in your face and on your lips. Raoul, 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 McGillicuddy, McGillicuddy. And also that you've taken the time to either have written in front of you or taken the time to have memorized the speech title. And speakers really enjoy when their name has been properly pronounced and when their speech title has been recognized and repeated. So, 5 parts. Now, your assignment this week is to write, practice, perform, record, and submit a professional introduction. And to make this interesting, I'm going to ask that you play a character. I'm going to ask that you play the character of Hayden Housatonic. And Hayden's job is, Hayden is a man or woman, I'm not sure. We have a nice gender-neutral name. Maybe he's gender fluid. I don't know. Maybe she's gender fluid. Okay, Hayden Housatonic, in any way, is one of the organizers of a special event called the Housatonic New Student Orientation. And so Hayden is going to be introducing all of the speakers. Hayden is the MC, the master or mistress of ceremonies. Okay, so your first job is you're going to be Hayden Housatonic's speechwriter. And your job is going to be to write a professional introduction. But most interestingly, the professional introduction that you're going to write is about yourself. You have been invited as a guest speaker to share some of your knowledge to the new students that have assembled about how to survive college. So you've got to come up with an idea for a speech. What's a speech you could give? What do you know about? What's a tip you could give to new students? I don't know, about keeping up or back in the day, dealing with the parking garage or managing online courses or balancing work and life or healthy eating or stress release or ways to work over your professor so that she likes you or listens to you or knows your name. How important? Maybe you know something about choosing a major or why GPAs are so important or how to transfer. So there's all kinds of things that I know you know about going to college. Most of you have been here for a while. What professors to watch out for, what professors to get. So I want you to imagine that you could give a short speech about that tip. Now, here's the trick. You don't have to actually give the speech. You just have to give the speech a title. So you're going to choose a title for a speech you could give. And then once you've got the speech title, you're going to come back to this board and you're going to write the script that Hayden Housatonic can read. Thank you for joining us. The purpose of our new student orientation is to welcome you and to give you tips to be successful at Housatonic. Our speaker's interest today, his credentials, please join me in welcoming, blah, 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 blah. So here's an example of how this works. I have to turn myself into a character. I've got my Hayden Housatonic drag on. So I've got to turn myself into a student because I'm going to be a student at New Student Orientation. This is like a nice little student hat so I can feel student-y. And I'll put on my little student, my student drag. I got my Housatonic shirt on. I've got my it's not a hoodie, but it's a little blue thing. I love this little coat, little jacket, because after here I'm going to go hang out at the cafe. And I'm going to, try to get a date, all the things that students need to do. Okay, so here I am. Hi, and now suddenly I've turned into Hayden. And now that I've got my costume set, you can have fun with this. Dress up any way you think is appropriate. Now that I know that I'm Hayden, I know that I've got to give a professional introduction for Kirk T. Hughes, from my real self. And the title of his speech, well, I'll show you in a second. So here I go. I'm going to turn myself into Hayden. Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for this afternoon's new student orientation. I'm Hayden Housatonic and I'm one of the organizers of this afternoon's event, and I'm really glad you were able to join us. The purpose of today's meeting is really to help you all feel like you belong here at Housatonic. It's to welcome you, to get to know you a little better, to share some of the resources of the school, and to we have some wonderful, more experienced students to give you some tips just to do all this stuff that is college better. Our first speaker today really loves Housatonic. He's one of the professors at the humanities department, and his favorite classes are with first years. He teaches 101. He loves new students because he thinks that transition from high school, from life, from the world into college is one of the most important and exciting transitions that anybody makes. Professor Hughes has a doctorate in comparative literature. He studied at the University of Pennsylvania. He did his undergraduate work at Yale, and for many, many years, he traveled around the country presenting to physicians tips for being a better and a stronger communicator. We really want to thank him for taking time out of his busy schedule to come to our orientation. So thank you. Would you all please join me in welcoming Professor Kirk T. Hughes, and this morning's speech is schedule first, and please turn off your phones. Professor Hughes, yay! And then I get to quickly shift, get out of my student drag, quickly put my professor coat back on. Oh my God, how do I do this? Oh, jeez. Shut the dogs up, fix my hair. Hi, everybody. I'm Kirk T. Hughes. Students call me Captain Kirk. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so there you have it. You have the 5 parts of a professional introduction: greeting, purpose, interest, credentials, welcome. You have the instructions for this fun little character game where you turn yourself into Hayden Housatonic to introduce the real you. Enjoy! Can't wait to see your videos, gang!